My name's Ed Medrano. I'm originally from Miami, Florida, but I moved to Torrance, California when I was about 8 or 9 years old, and lived in Torrance all through middle school and high school, and then I eventually, after I got married, moved to La Mirada, where I currently live.
What were the factors that brought you to Gardena?
It's kind of interesting. When I was getting out of middle school and becoming a freshman in high school, I became interested in the Explore program, which is kind of a volunteer program for kids to learn about law enforcement. And I started in the Explore program for the city of Manhattan Beach, and I was there all through high school. But I recognized that Gardena, the city of Gardena's police department, had a very active cadet program. And that's sort of a training to become a police officer. They let you go out and take police reports and write tickets and help the police officers in the field. It had the best one around. So as a result, I wanted to become a cadet, and I ended up coming to Gardena as a cadet after I went to the Marine Corps and before I became a police officer.
Did you ever live in Gardena?
No, I grew up in North Torrance, and I had a lot of my family that lived in Gardena off and on. So I'd spent a lot of my time in Gardena, and since I lived almost right on the border, quite a lot of my childhood was in and around Gardena. I also worked in Gardena all through high school, delivering pizzas, so I got to know the city pretty well.
Were the members of your family ever involved in law enforcement before you came into the?
No, it's funny. I'm the only person in my entire family that's ever been in law enforcement, so I'm kind of an oddity.
Tell me more about your remembrances of the city of Gardena in your early years here.
I remember it as just a fun place to be growing up as a kid. I had some of my cousins here. We'd just always find things to do. There was, stuff going on in the parks or just around the neighborhood, people playing in the streets. It was just a real fun community to grow up in. And we had a lot of, we wouldn't get in trouble, but we'd had a lot of fun.
People I've spoken to have mentioned that the city had a small town feeling. Just wondering if you can kind of comment on that.
Yeah, it's interesting, although, it's not really that small of a town compared to some of the small towns across the country. People get to know each other, and you grow up learning the city very easily and feeling comfortable going everywhere, and it's like a very small city inside of a big city.
Can you tell me about going to school? Did you go to school in Gardena?
No, I went to school in North High, which is in Torrance.
Was there any connection between the high schools in the area?
Other than maybe some little bit of a rivalry here and there, but not really. North Torrance High is the high school that's probably the closest to Gardena in the school systems around here.
What was your inspiration to come into law enforcement?
As a young kid, I knew I wanted to be a police officer, and I'm not exactly sure what it is. I just knew that I wanted to be a police officer, which is the reason I joined the Explorers. And after learning about what the police do and learning about the profession, it was pretty much that was my calling. And so from a young age, about 13, I knew it. And I've pretty much dedicated my entire life to getting to where I am now. So it was a calling for me.
Were there local inspirations for you?
That's been, yeah, I mean, I guess I was modeled Torrance Police Department because there was a city that served me. I really enjoyed living in the city of Torrance. I liked the way the police department functioned. But Gardena, because of the Explorers, at that time, they did a lot of things together. So we would always be coming here. This had the biggest post, had the most active post. It was just a lot of fun to do anything with Gardena Explorers. So as a result, I really thought I already saw myself coming to Gardena at some point.
Can you discuss the variety of assignments that you've been involved with during your time with the Gardena Police Department?
Yeah, there's been quite a few. Obviously, I work patrol. Every young police officer works patrol at the beginning. After that, I was able to be a motor officer, riding a motorcycle and giving tickets and taking traffic accident reports. Later on, I was able to be a canine officer, which is one of the most exciting jobs in the police work, and handling a police canine. I did that for a number of years. I was part of our SWAT team for almost 12 years. We had a little helicopter program for some time. I was able to do that. I worked in community policing as a police officer and as a sergeant. I became a sergeant. One of my duties after I got out of patrol was to start our COPS team, which is a big important part of our strategy dealing with problems here. After that, I was promoted to lieutenant, and I ran all patrol division in charge of scheduling and patrol shifts. Did that for a number of years, and then went on to captain, where I was responsible for all operations, and then later on all for operations and support, which is pretty much the entire department. I was promoted to chief, which makes me responsible for everything.